Good evening.
Evening, Bope. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you today?
I'm amazingly tired, my friend. I'm tired,
You
all right?
don't
I'm very,
you
very
don't look
tired.
it. You don't look it. You actually look calmer than usual. You know how every time we get into the studio, you're like, let's do this. It's
Really?
been a long week. But today you actually look a bit chill and ready for this. It's been another
Really?
long week. Yeah, yeah,
Wow, that's fantastic.
yeah.
I'm tired, my friend. I'm tired. Like, I'm very tired. It's been a
What
long week,
what have
all
you
right?
been
It's been
up
a long
to?
week. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
I've been up to money as usual, making money.
I've been up to money. I'll be using that. I've been up to money. I like that.
I've been up to money, my friend. It's like money after money. Once you
Yeah,
are the one who said in the afternoon today that once you begin to make
yeah,
money, it's difficult to
yeah.
stop.
It
It's
is
very
though.
difficult to
It
stop
is.
because money is
It is.
addictive.
It is, and especially
Fantastic.
investing. Yeah. So let's do a quick sound
Yeah,
check
very
then.
much.
Can you hear us? Please let us know in the comments if we are loud and clear before we get into our conversation tonight. Let us know where you're watching us from. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited that you are here. Let us
Fantastic,
know.
guys.
Let
We're
us know.
happy to have you here. Some names will be are like family. I keep seeing them every
The
now
same
and then,
names.
right? I keep
Yes.
the same names keep on popping up, and it's very encouraging. It's fantastic. So, guys,
Yeah.
let us know where you're watching us from. I want to tell you we are very grateful to have you here, guys. You guys are an amazing audience. We couldn't ask for a better audience than you guys. You know what I like about our audience, Bupe, is that
Yep.
they ask very mature questions, and that's one thing I
Yeah.
appreciate about these guys. They
Mm-hmm.
ask very constructive questions. And especially in the
Mm-hmm.
afternoon, and they asked me some very fantastic questions. I still have a whole lot of messages in my inbox, people telling me just how wonderful they love that. So we have Alfred here. Where's Alfred watching us from? From Chingola.
From
Chingola, fantastic. Where is Chingola,
Chingola.
Alfred?
You're so welcome. Thank you
Fantastic.
for
It's good to see
coming.
you,
Shout
Alfred.
out to you. Yeah.
Fantastic. Guys, let
Yeah.
us know where you're watching us from, where you're watching us from, and please share
Mm-hmm.
this live. Please share with others.
Mm-hmm.
We are discussing money. As you
Yep.
know, this month and next month, we are promoting financial protection expansion. We need to talk about money conversations. If we are going to
Yeah.
grow financially, we have to be okay discussing money, discussing mindsets, and discussing a whole lot of things around money. So, guys, let us know where you're watching us from and your name. That would be very much fantastic.
Yeah. So thank you for
So,
that. So we
let's,
can get into it.
yeah,
Yes. So maybe I can start with a little bit about the author, right?
yeah,
Just so
yeah,
we get a bit of an understanding. So we're talking Rich Dad Poor Dad, like you can see from the banner that is scrolling, and all the talking I have done on my page. If you're not following the Mindpreneur, do go there and follow the page. And we've been talking about, we're going to be sharing the lessons we found valuable, Shadrach and I, from the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. Now, this is an old book. It was published in 1997. It is written by Robert Kiyosaki. He was born April 8th, 1987, 1947, and he has an estimated net worth in 2022 of about $100 million. And
wow, that's
he
a
has
lot.
hosted seminars. How amazing is that? Goals, guy, goals. Well, we're about chasing money. Yeah, so he has an estimated net worth of about 100 million, and his journey with investing and making money goes all the way back from when he was a child, but he got into it at the age of 38, which can be said to be a bit late in life, but I think it's a good thing because a lot of our audience might also be starting, like ourselves also, Shadrach, starting in a time where it can be said to be late to begin,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah,
the fact that
yeah.
his journey started, a proper financial journey started in 1985,
Yeah.
and he's 75 now, and he's a millionaire, is hopeful. So that's a bit about the author, and that's a bit about the book that we will be talking about tonight.
Fantastic. And maybe just to give a quick, since the book we're discussing, guys, There are different versions. I learned about it from book that there are different versions. I've always read this one. Now here it says at the back of the book, it says just a bit. It says the main reason people struggle financially is because they have spent years in school but learned nothing about money. The result is that people learn to work for money, but never learn to have money work for them. That's his biggest comment behind his book. And I fell in love with that. We don't learn
Yeah.
about money. We just money conversation are so awkward. That's why even you see people that are married don't talk about money. It's like a taboo. In a relationship, if a young lady talks about money, she's a gold digger instantly.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's labeled.
True.
She's labeled like that. It's so sad. Yeah.
Unfortunately. Okay, so let's get into lesson number 1. Would you like to begin? And welcome, Ruth. Thank you so much for joining the live. Special shout out to you, even as we get into the conversation tonight.
Fantastic. It's good to
Watching
see
from
you.
Kitwe, Copperbelt is representing
Ruth, good to see
tonight.
you. So looking at the lessons that we have from this fantastic book, Abupe,
What is your number 1?
I want to hear from you. What lessons you find valuable about money that can help somebody grow their financial base from this book?
That can help their financial base. Number 1 lesson for me, Shadrach, would be the mindset. Yeah, and you know me, I'm all about. I believe that one of the quotes that Robert has in his book was that he says the single most powerful asset from the book, the single most powerful asset that each and every one of us have is our mindset. And if we feed that, there's no telling where we would go, right? So for me, that would be number 1. And so maybe I can just get into a bit of an explanation with that and why that's a big thing for me, right? So the book is based on the story of a rich dad and a poor dad. So how does Robert have a rich dad and a poor dad, right? So Robert is raised by a father who is an academician, who has a PhD and high class degrees. So he's not born from a poor family. This is not like a rags guy. So this child is a boy who is in a home with a father who has PhDs, is employed well by the government, and the father is earning well, right? But then he goes to school and he notices that there are other kids in the school who have like better toys than him, and he's treated slightly differently than the others. And so he goes back home and goes to the father and says, Dad, tell me how I can be rich, right? And his father tells him the classic advice that most of us were raised to: go to school, find a great job, and that's the key to success. It's all up to you, right? So as the book keeps going, you see that so that's one side of it. So the other rich dad comes from his friend Mike. So in school he has a friend whose dad is rich, right? But he doesn't have a college degree. He's a college dropout. But Mike's dad has a little more than they have, and he's more comfortable, and they can afford these toys that he wants. So Mike's dad, because he's Robert's mentor, becomes who is rich dad. So now about mindsets and what I was talking about, it's like the rich dad's mindset was, so the poor dad's mindset, Robert's biological dad's mindset was, the love of money is the root of all evil. And the rich dad, Mike's dad, said the lack of money is the root of all evil. So one says the love of it is the root, the other one says that, the lack of it is the root. Then the other, and I will delve that a little deeper. And the other one is, I can't afford this. That's poor dad. The rich dad is, how can I afford this? And then the other one is, study hard so you can find a good company to work for. That's poor dad. And the other one is, study hard so you can find a good company to buy. So the first takeaway for me was the mindset. What did it be for you?
Fantastic. And Upe, that's a good one. When I read this book, guys, one of the things I really loved about this book is what this man says, and I like this chapter. But let me just share with our friends in case you have this book and you've never read it. It's chapter. It's chapter number 7. It says overcoming obstacles. Guys, I I love this chapter, and I'm going to tell you the lessons that I learned about overcoming obstacles. And
Yeah.
this is that's so important because a lot of us in our setup, we have
Mm-hmm.
proper challenges. We're having money problems, and so,
Mm-hmm.
many of us are struggling with being accepted by your family members,
Yeah.
your loved ones. You
Mm.
can't be treated in a certain way because you're broke, because you're poor. So we have so
Yeah.
many obstacles. Sometimes
Oh,
some people are
absolutely.
struggling with the exam fees, education,
Mm-hmm.
rentals,
Yeah.
self-esteem. All right.
Mm.
So there is a whole lot of obstacles going on right now. Some people are making a lot of business losses and things like that. But there's
Yeah.
something I liked about this chapter, and it's about overcoming obstacles. And it says the primary difference between a
Yeah.
rich person and a poor person is
Yeah.
how they manage fear. All right. And now here he
Yeah.
says that once people have studied and become financially literate, they may still
Yep.
face roadblocks to becoming
Yep.
financially independent. So there are five main reasons why financially literate people may still not develop abundant asset columns that produce a
Yep.
large cash flow. So there are five reasons that he gave that make people fail to progress financially, even though they are
Mm-hmm.
educated, even though they have that fantastic job. Number one
Yeah.
is fear,
Yeah.
fear of the unknown. Fear. Number two is
Mm.
cynicism. Number three is laziness. Number four is bad habits. Number five is arrogance. Now, guys,
Please say
these
that
are
again.
five
So
things that,
we have fear. Yeah.
yes, we have
Uh-huh.
fear.
Mm-hmm.
That is number one. Why? Number two is cynicism. Number three is laziness.
Cynicism.
Number four is
Mm-hmm.
bad habits. Number five is
Yeah.
arrogance. These five
Yeah.
things are the biggest reasons why a lot of people have failed to make it despite having a good job, a good education,
Mm-hmm.
and also
Yep.
a good start in life, but they always end up very bad. All right. So
Yeah.
now here, um, if you look at overcoming obstacles, and I'm gonna go straight to fear. I like
Mm-hmm.
this chapter, and I want to share a few bits here. Mr. Kiyosaki has said that I have never met anyone who really likes losing money, and that's a fact, Bupe. Nobody wants to lose money. And in all my
Nope.
years, I have never met a rich person who has never lost money.
Mm-hmm.
But I met a lot of poor people who have never lost a dime investing. There are lots of people who've never lost money. That's why they are poor. Every rich person, every successful person has lost money somehow. Now,
Mm.
some people have the fear of losing money. And because
Yeah.
that fear overrides their logical thinking, they can't invest. Remember,
Mm.
there are two rules of investments. Rule number one says don't lose money. Rule number two
Mm-hmm.
says remember rule number one. And some people have taken those two rules very personal. They can't lose money, they can't invest. Every
True.
successful person has had to lose money. And the fear of
Mm.
losing money is real, Wupe. Everyone has it,
Mm.
even the rich. But it's not having fear that is the problem. It's how you handle fear. It's how you
Mm-hmm.
handle losing. It's how you handle failure that makes the difference in one's life. So the primary
Mm.
difference between a rich person and a poor person is how they manage that fear. All right. And
Yeah.
that's a very fundamental point, Pupe. Fear is okay. We have to be scared. If we think
Yeah.
about the future, we are terrified. But what makes us special is our ability to handle fear, to handle failure. All right. So it's okay to be fearful. It's okay to be
Mm-hmm.
coward. It's okay to be a coward when it comes to money. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Yep.
still be rich and still be a coward when it comes to money. So we are
Yeah.
all heroes at something and cowards at something else. That's the way life is. She flies into action because she sees a problem. She wants to sort it out. So she's okay with seeing blood, seeing blood. But when I mentioned investing to her, she runs away because it's alien to her. She does not understand
Yeah.
investments. But me, when I see blood, I don't run. I pass out because I'm so terrified seeing blood. All right. So that means all of us have got something that we are scared of and something that we are good at. All right. So some people are terrified of snakes. Some people are
Yeah.
terrified about losing money. Both are
Yeah.
phobias, Bope.
Yeah.
So the solution to the phobia of losing money was a little myth, right? But in principle,
Yeah.
it is true, right? So
Yep.
here A lot of people are scared of fear. They are scared of losing something. This is why it's hard for them to progress. So the moment we begin
Mm,
to accept that it's okay to lose money for you to grow, there can never be growth without failure. There can never be growth without losing money. Then our lives can change. Right.
mm,
So a lot of people are scared.
powerful.
Imagine you have a job that pays you 5,000 kwacha or 7,000 kwacha, and then there's this investment, there's a risk to it, and then you are scared to losing that money. So I wanted to show our audience a little diagram, Wupe, of how they can handle this fear of
Okay.
losing money. All right,
Yeah. So
because we're
before we just
discussing
jump
fear, and
into,
that's what I find. Once we read about
Mhm.
fear, yeah,
Yeah. So while you're loading the diagram you're about to load, I just wanted to jump in and add about writing the book. It also
yeah,
says that people who avoid failure inevitably also avoid
yeah,
success. So if you run
very
away,
much. Bupe,
like you're saying, from investing,
that's the point.
you inevitably run away
Yeah,
from the benefits of of knowledgeable of knowledgeable investing. Because again, we're not encouraging just jumping anyhow into investing. Yeah, there's wisdom that must be applied. Yeah. So yeah, you were about to share a diagram.
all right, guys, I've lost.
Sorry, I lost you for a moment there.
All right, so I think that's the point. Okay, we're having a network challenge.
Ah,
You're coming in and out. But
okay.
anyway, now you're back.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is that, as you said, people that avoid fear, losing money, also avoid success.
Mhm.
All right, they avoid it. If we did not try to do something, we will be successful. But here's the issue. I want to just show our audience what you can do if you have this fear of losing money, because all of us have it. The only difference
Mm,
is that some of us we take a step
mm.
to try. Some
Yeah.
people don't take that step to try. All right. So now there's a little
Mm.
diagram I wanted to share with our audience, Bope, just around
Okay.
this point of fear of
Mhm.
losing money. All right. What can help you to avoid that fear? There's a little diagram here in
Mhm.
addition to what we're discussing about losing money and the fear. So there's this diagram. This diagram is a risk model because all of us Bupe, are scared of losing money. And now, what can we do about it? So here's what I would like to share with you guys. When you have the fear of losing money, it's okay. All right. It's not bad to have fear of losing money. All of us have that
Mm.
fear. But at the same time, we need to understand the risks involved in that fear. So what is not okay is to never
I'm
lose
not
money.
sure if it's my network or it's
What's
yours.
not
Okay.
okay is to never lose money.
Mhm.
It's not okay to have fear of losing money.
Shadrach?
Impact of this business you want to take on your return? What's the impact of this strategy on your return? So if the impact of the risk on your finances is quite high, but at the same time it's going to give you a very high return, then you want to cautiously examine. And how do you examine? You need a mind shift change. You need to talk to experts. You need to talk to people that understand the business you want to venture into. You need to seek advice. So to cautiously examine, because when the risk is high and the return is high, sometimes you may lose and lose big. Sometimes you may win and win big. So you don't want to run away from investing because it looks like you're going to make a loss. All right. Can you cautiously examine? Contact experts, professionals like ourselves to help you understand the risks involved in that particular business. That helps you reduce that anxiety that comes with fear of failure. But also, another thing you may want to understand here, don't just take up a risk because it looks good. All right. If the risk is quite very high, and then the return on the other hand is quite very low, then you want to avoid this kind of an investment. So your fear becomes
Mm.
valid because you're scared of losing money and you are seeing that yes, this is right. So because the investment that you need to put in is quite high, but the return is very low and the impact on your money is quite high. So when the risk is high, you want to avoid that kind of a business. All right. But at
Mhm.
the same time, where the return is very high and the impact on your finances, the impact of the risk is quite low, that's the business we
Mhm.
want to identify and develop. Right. And then there are where you have a very low risk and also very low return. That's a routine business. So a lot of people, unfortunately, are in this box. They take very low risk, which gives them very low what return. They have a very low risk and they get a very low return. So a lot of people are around this box here because they want to be comfortable. They want to feel good. They have this fear of failure. Like you said, those that avoid fear, that avoid the risks, also avoid success. Look at this guy here in yellow box. This guy is facing a very high risk in front of him, but it comes with a very high return. So what does it do before investing? It asks experts. It takes consideration. It takes precautions. Maybe it may fail and fail big, all right? But again, maybe it may win and win big. So this is the point that we are learning from this book here, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it helps us to say that, you know what, it's okay to be scared, all right?
Yeah. Okay, it looks like I have lost you there again. Yeah, it looks like we have lost Shadrach briefly there. So we're talking Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and the lessons that we had learned after reading this book. This is a book that was published way back in 1997 and written by Robert Kiyosaki. And there's so many gems that apply now, even though it was written a long time ago. So the first lesson that we picked up from the book was a mindset lesson, and we said that, you know, Robert was raised by a dad who had gone to school, who had a PhD, but his dad, winding down his life, ended up broke, while Mike, his best friend's dad, had more money, yet he was a college dropout. So welcome to everyone who has joined us just now. Welcome Mimi from Mufulira. Copperbelt is representing tonight. We're so grateful. Then the next lesson we learned was that even if you're financially literate, as Shadrach was sharing, was that there are still 5 obstacles that we face, and this is fear, cynicism, laziness, poor habits, and arrogance. And what I found interesting before we lost Shadrach there was the fact that all these obstacles are obstacles that are me-centered. Yeah. So these are not obstacles that are outside of ourselves. When we talk about fear, fear is inside. Welcome back, Shadrach. Are you here with us? We had lost you there. Can you hear me, Shadrach?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. So I was just saying that these are sort of me habits. If you are a
Yes, I can hear
cynic,
you. I
that's
think I'm having some network glitches, but I'm okay. I'm back.
okay. Okay, that's awesome. Welcome back. It's good to have you back. Yeah, so these are you habits. So if you have bad habits, for instance, spending habits, a big thing that is happening soon is now we'll be seeing in this season is Black Friday. So if you have bad habits and no discipline around your money, we'll see you running to go and buy those things. If you are not an early riser, you're not a reader or a late sleeper to catch up on work, or you're just basically lazy, you just don't show up to your things to see them grow, that is a you thing. So you'll notice that all these obstacles that Shadrach shared with us are a me thing. They are more introspective type problems, and we have to work on that. Yeah, Shadrach's really struggling with his network just now. We'll give it a minute. Yeah. Okay. So we'll then move on to the second lesson, the third lesson, and what I liked about where Shadrach has taken us with the different types of personalities who like our risk aversion, sort of, is also for me what was enlightening in reading that book was how Rich Dad, Poor Dad defines assets and liabilities. Shadrach, I'll let you talk while I have you before we lose you again. Oh, I lost you again. Okay. So, yeah. So, Rich Dad defines an asset as something that brings you money, and then a liability as something that takes money away from you. I'll say that again. He says an asset is something that brings you money, and a liability is something that takes money away from you. So one of the most touchy things he said in the book, for everyone who's read it, I'm sure you agree with me, is when he says that your home is a liability and not
All right,
an
okay,
asset,
I'm back. I
right?
think I was having
Welcome
problems when I
back.
left. But guys, thank you so much for staying. Bupe, can you hear me now?
Yes, 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 I hear you. We're just defining an asset and a liability just before you came on, and we're saying that, and because we're talking about investing, high risk investments, low risk, and just our aversion. So I was saying it was a good connection, and just while we wait for you to come back to define when we talk about an asset and investing in an asset, what is an asset? So we had just said that it is something that brings you money, while um, the the liability is something that takes money away from you.
Oh yeah. All
Yeah.
right, okay, guys. So yeah, so that's so I should talk about that.
No, I was just wrapping up. Not right. Maybe you could wrap up with
Okay,
the thoughts about the people in the four quadrants that you had shared, and we're just talking
okay.
about what an asset is and what a liability is according to the book.
All right. Okay. Okay. That's fantastic. So, guys, please let me know if I'm now audible enough. I'll be happy to know that. So, before I got lost, we were discussing with people here that a lot of people have failed to make it because of five things. They have only five things that make people fail, even though they have a good education. Number one is fear. Number two, cynicism. Number three, laziness. Number four, bad habits. And number five, arrogance. So, I'm going to talk about two things: fear and arrogance. All right. So fear, we are saying here that a lot of people that are successful have never lost. Have always lost something. Like I said, I've never seen a successful person who has never lost money. But I've seen a lot of poor people who've never lost money because they are so overprotective of their investments. And like Pupa was saying, she was saying that you know what, avoiding failure is also in a sense avoiding success. So I was sharing
Essentially.
this,
Hmm.
yeah, I was sharing this diagram here with you to help you if you are somebody who is a very high, risk averse person. This can help you make a financial decision properly. I said if you're looking at an investment in front of you, all
Hmm.
right, to reduce the anxiety, because we all don't want to lose money, that's the fact. But the difference is that people that succeed take chances, right? They, don't, they are willing to lose money because they're going to try something out. So we said there's a risk here. This is a risk model. It helps you to understand if the risk is high, you compare this risk I'm taking. Is it corresponding well with the return I'm going to have? So if the return is high, and then the risk is also high. What do? You want to cautiously examine this investment. All right, it's going to help you reduce the fear and the anxiety. Ask experts. Ask myself, like myself. Ask people. Ask several other experts to help you understand the risks involved with that particular investment. So this is going to help you reduce the fear, understanding what is involved. And then the other issue is ask yourself: is the risk? If the risk is very high, but the return is low, you want to avoid this kind of investment. Why are you taking a high risk for a very little amount of money and a return? It's not a good thing, all right? But also there's something called where sometimes you have a business which has a very high return but a very low risk. So this is the one that you want to identify and develop. The problem with this kind of investment that there are very few investments like this one, right? A lot of people right now are revolving around this blue box here because they have a lot of fear of losing money. So in the end, they take up very low risks and they end up making what? Very low returns. So understanding the risks involved before you invest is going to help you calm down and be able to look at the risk as a way to grow. You cannot grow if you don't take risks that are calculated. All right. A risk that you're supposed to take is one that is calculated. It's going to help you reduce the fear. So here we are discussing Whoop and saying, you know what, the fear is what has made a lot of people fail to progress in life. And that's the thought that I was concluding with. So Whoop, I want to hear your thoughts around this issue. What do you think about fear and success? How has fear contributed to people progressing in life, either in marriages, in relationship, and different other avenues of life? First of you, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, Shadrach. I mean, there's one of my favorite, absolute favorite quotes that has always carried me through seasons of failure and, and fear is the one that says, feel the fear, but do it anyway.
Yeah,
Okay.
very
So
good.
just going back on the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and as you have explained, those four quadrants right there, right? You see that rich dad was, how you say, was not taking uncalculated risks, right? Like you are saying. But when you
Yeah.
look at poor dad, he is a representation of what many of us are. Even I
Yeah.
can't say I'm completely out of that, where he's an
Yeah.
educated person, he's gone to school, he's had an education, right?
Yeah.
He's got great
Yeah.
knowledge, but very
Yeah.
little financial education, right? So when like in the ebook that I just published this week actually,
Yeah.
which is investment simplified, right? I talk about a
Yeah.
model, like a cycle of money, which is what earn, keep, and grow money, right? So all of us fall under one of these three. So let's say you have been to school, you have an education, right? You have learned how to earn money. But the question is, do you know how to keep it? Do you know how to grow it? Right? So to keep money, is, for instance, learning discipline, financial discipline. Do you save? Are you living within your means? Those kinds of things. But growing money is a step further because you're building muscle. But if you prioritize fear, you can't move along in that cycle to repeat it, to learn to earn, to keep, and to grow money. If you prioritize fear, you prevent yourself from growing, because at each stage it demands a different kind of person. And when you learn, for you to earn a degree, it demands a person who can study, it demands a person who can commit to school. For someone to learn to keep money, it requires you to be a person who can budget, a person who is disciplined. And for you to grow money, you're required to take a bit of risk, which means taking away that aspect of fear. And so from the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, something that I see from what you have explained is how poor dad did not want to take risks because his mindset told him that you have to be careful with money. The love of money is the root of all evil. But the love of money speaks to the relationship we have with money. And it's like these five obstacles that you're talking about. If you are a cynic, if you are fearful, if you are arrogant, you already have a poor relationship with money. So to have a good relationship with money means that you don't idolize it, you don't worship it, you see it as a tool to move you forward. So I absolutely agree with you. Fear is a very dangerous thing in the process of protecting your cash flow. Something else that Robert says in the book that is very important is that he says financial intelligence is your ability to manage your cash flow. And I thought that was powerful. You know,
Yeah.
financial
Yeah.
intelligence is your ability to manage your cash flow. It's about, can
Yes.
you earn, can you keep, and can you grow your money? And I thought that was powerful. So yes, fear is a very real thing. But like I said, I am a believer of feel the fear, but do it anyway. And for us to grow, for us to learn, you can study, you can ask the experts, but there's certain things you have to learn from experience. You have to be willing to make mistakes. So,
Yeah.
like you had said, you are going to lose money, but the sooner you
Yeah.
start, when time is on your side,
Yeah.
the better for you. The better for you.
Yes, and that's very
Yeah.
true. But you've made a very important point, and I wish guys please put that in the comment. All right, financial
Mm.
intelligence is seen in your ability to manage money. At the end of the day, it's not how
Your
much
cash
money you
flow.
make;
It's how
it's
much you
how
keep
much money you keep.
and
That
for
makes
how
it.
long. Yeah.
Yeah, there are people
Yeah.
who have very little salaries and they are building nice houses and they are living happily with their wives and husbands. They are poor with a lot of money. They have nothing to their names. At the end of the
Mm.
day, is how much money you keep, guys. And I
Yeah.
like the quote from the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. It says, for most people, the reason why they don't win financially is because the pain of losing money is far greater than the joy of being rich. A lot
Yeah.
of people, and this is a very important quote, Bupe. He says,
Yeah.
for most people, the reason they don't win financially is because the pain of losing money is far
Mm.
greater than the joy of being rich. A lot
Yeah.
of people don't want to lose money. A small loss,
Mm.
BP, now is shooting, just a small loss, right?
Yeah.
Guys, in the real world, you're going to make losses. In the
You
real
are.
world, you're going to meet people going to swindle you of your hard earned money. Your
Mm.
ability to bounce back stronger and say, you know what? This has happened. Yes, it's a problem, but how do I turn my loss into a win? Like I was saying
Mm.
yesterday,
Mm.
for a
Ah,
diamond
and
to
that's
be a
true.
diamond, it has to go through
Yeah.
an unsurmountable amounts of pressure. A lot of
True.
pressure. For God to be
Ooh.
God, just got to go through fire, proper fire, higher temperatures, and then you have God at the
Mm.
end. So, as a family person, don't take
Mm.
unnecessary risks. Can you calculate the risks? You don't want to lose money unnecessarily, but you want to
Mm.
try at an opportunity that can benefit you more. All right. And this is why
Yeah.
this quote makes sense. For most people, the
Yeah.
reason why they don't win is financially because the pain of losing money is far greater than the joy of being rich. Have you ever thought about what your life could be like if you woke up one day and you tell your wife, honey, I want to buy for you a brand new vehicle? And then you buy for your
Mm.
wife. Have you ever thought of what your life
Mm.
could be if you work so hard, you live in your own house, don't pay rent? Have you ever thought
Yeah.
of what your life could be like if one day just woke up, you don't have to worry about money? Because why
Yeah.
we work hard, we want freedom from worrying about our loved ones, freedom from worrying about
Yeah.
tomorrow. Of course, we don't know tomorrow. We work hard
Mm-hmm.
because we want to have a peace of mind. All right. So if you are a very
Mm-hmm.
risk averse person, like Kiyosaki is saying, it will be difficult for you to grow either as a person and also as a family. And there's something that he says, Whoopi, about fear. He says everyone wants to go to heaven. Everybody wants to be rich, but are very much terrified of losing money. So they never get to heaven. It's just a metaphor because they never die. All right. So you want to be successful,
Yeah.
but you're not willing to lose money. So you can't be successful because you're holding on
Yeah.
to money. Here's the issue, guys. Some people save money only to lose it. All right, and that's the fear this guy is
Yeah.
talking about. So if you have you have fear, you don't you want to be there are people who pay right now. They have very good amounts of money in their bank account sitting. They are okay
Mm.
watching that money lose value through inflation and CPI, but they're not okay putting that money into a bond. They're not okay
Mm.
putting that money into a compounded interest account. They're not okay
Yeah.
investing that money, like you're saying, because of the fear of losing that money. So the fear of losing money is far greater than the joy of becoming successful. And that's the mindset we want to change, guys.
Yeah. And you know what, Shadrach, when I was
Yeah.
researching the book, right, when I was doing the ebook, one of the things I learned is that people are not investing not because they don't want to, but because some just
Mm.
genuinely don't know. They don't know when you talk about things like CPI, when you talk about inflation, all we know about inflation is the fact that it means prices have gone up. So people don't know. And that was one of the main reasons I wrote the book, is to just simplify it, to explain, okay, this is what a bond is. This is what shares are. So they have money sitting in their account and they think this is beneficial to me. And and some genuinely have the desire to invest, but they just don't know what investments are available. And going back to the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, something that Poor Dad was big on was financial literacy, right? He kept saying,
Mm.
you have, yes, education is good, but what is more important is what are you learning? What are you investing in? Right?
Yeah.
So he talks, there's when he was explaining the income statement, and he talks out shows the expenses, he was saying, look, you need to understand that people who have an education, where most of us fall, whether we are either poor or middle class, is we earn money from a salary, right? And that salary goes to pay all our expenses. And then we have nothing for investments. While the rich, on the other hand, they earn money and they put it in investments, and their investments are what now pay for their lifestyle. And that's the
Yeah.
difference, right? So some people are saving and saving and saving because that's what they know. That's all they know. I was told to go to school, to save, retire, build a house. And Robert says, because an asset is something that brings you money. If you go and build a house on a salary, he's of the view that that is a liability, because building is already taking money away from you, and it becomes an asset if it's a rental property and then it starts to bring you money. But there are a lot of people who we have who believe because they live in they bought a house, it's an asset, and they value it based on since I bought this house, for instance, here where I live, if I bought this house and I live in this house because it's valued, for argument's sake, 1 billion kwacha, it means it's an asset to me. No, you're paying electricity, you're paying water. It's taking money away from you. So whether the value on paper is 100,000 kwacha, 1 million kwacha, it's still a liability because it's not bringing money to you. But if you
Yeah.
move out of that house and you have rental coming from there, then it becomes an asset. So there's so many dynamics to it that I love about the book, that it helps you see, and it's just simple analogies. And like you were saying, another thing about fear, right? He was saying the reason people get trapped in a job and you're afraid of losing a job is because that's your only source of income. So you're holding onto it for dear life. So you're saying, if I put this money in an investment, let's take the more extreme one, crypto. Yeah. If I take my savings and put them in crypto, it's high risk, high return, right? I will lose all my money. What if I lose my entire life savings? What does it mean for me? So there's
Yeah.
that fear that when you hear it, it sounds realistic. But if someone added financial literacy to that, it would break the fear, because before you get into crypto, you would have an understanding of what you're going into. Or if you learned about what a government bond is, you'd have an understanding of what it is, and you would not be so fearful about investing. So fear traps people. It definitely does.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true, Bupe. And these are the things that we need to overcome. Now, guys, and again, Bupe, I did make a little diagram again, a little more
Yep.
just to help our
We're
audience to
happy. We're
also.
here for it.
Yeah, guys, I made a little diagram to help you overcome fear of investing. All right, and I did make a presentation. I wrote something
Mm,
about being okay, being uncomfortable. All right, so
yeah.
sometimes we are afraid of investing because we are uncomfortable, especially when a family person, they are depending on you. You can't be taking unnecessary risks because you have to pay rent, you have to feed, you have to pay school fees. So you have to be realistic, and that's genuine fear. It's not a bad thing because you want the best for your children, you want to pay school fees for them.
True.
But a lot of people have lost relationships because they work so hard trying to earn a living.
Mm,
They don't want to use the little money to work for them. So they keep working so
mm.
hard up to a point where they can't even pay rent because they're working so hard, right? Making money in Lusaka should be easy, guys. Please, can you come to our classes? We help you out to make money for yourselves. All right. So now here, guys, I'm gonna give you just a very simple illustration. That, that,
So
that, that,
while
that-
you load that, Shadrach, I've just seen Fred Fredo Chilengi saying, is betting a good way to tackle the fear of losing money?
all right. I
No.
think we're gonna look at that
We'll,
one.
we'll come back to that.
Yeah,
I
we'll come
just
back to
wanted
that
to
at
make a
the end.
mental note of that. But the answer is
Yeah,
no. And we'll
yeah.
explain why. No. I thought
So,
that
so
was
guys,
hilarious.
there we go. So I have this document here, guys. I have this document in front of you. It talks about get rid of your security shield. All right. A security shield is what keeps you afraid of investing, right? Some people, they have a dad. When they have a problem, they can run to a dad. They can go to elder brother, elder sister. It could be a wife, it could be a husband. So sometimes even a husband who makes more money than you can prevent you from growing because of a security shield, right? Even a dad who sponsors you can prevent you from growing. Because so the moment you begin to get rid of your security shield, start by being aware of your source of financial support and ask yourself, who gives me support when I have problems? If you had a 10,000 kwacha problem right now, who can you call in your phone book who can give it to you right now? So the moment you begin to accept your financial situation and you begin to see where your support comes from, you have to begin to get uncomfortable. All right. Begin to get uncomfortable. And I made a very important point here, guys. Being uncomfortable and expanding, taking a risk does not mean you have to quit your job. All right. Do not get rid of what is working for what is possible. No. All right. You may
Absolutely.
want to become uncomfortable, be good at what is working already, and then it's going to help you to experiment on what could be possible. All right. And I said that people should put a comment in this and say, I am willing to get uncomfortable because it will lead me to what is possible. That means you are willing to get rid of your security shield and overcome that fear, because it may lead you to what is possible. All right. There's
Mm.
a whole lot of good things for all of us, but what makes you look at yourself as an average person because you've never taken any risk? Ask yourself, how much have you lost in your life? I have lost
Mhm.
over 100,000 before myself, guys. It's not a joke. It's real. I've lost over 100,000 kwacha before. I've lost that money before. Did I kill myself? No. So you have to turn your loss into a win. How can I do it better next time? All right. So it's okay to be uncomfortable, because the reason why you have to be uncomfortable and take that risk is because growth is your primary goal. You cannot grow if you are too comfortable. A lot of people who have fear are people that are very comfortable with their current situation. So they are okay watching an opportunity go by because they are scared of losing money. All right.
Mm.
The pain of losing money is far greater than the joy of becoming rich. So they stay the same year in, year out. So, guys, please look at your surroundings and ask yourself, where is your source of finance coming from? Right. And I asked you a question: why should you be uncomfortable and overcome your fear? Is because your success depends on it. Your primary goal is your growth. All right. So these gems you're getting from this book here, Wope, and I strongly believe it's something that's very fundamental. It's going to be of very good use to our audience. So, guys, it's okay to have fear for investment. So you need people like myself and several other experts to help you invest and calculate the risks. All right. But you have to understand, so long you don't become uncomfortable with your current situation, you will never grow. Some people are comfortable getting a 10,000 kwacha. It's not a lot of money when your children are growing up. Inflation is going up. Today, the World Bank, I saw a post where they were saying that there's food inflation of up to 83 point something percent. It's going up worldwide, right? So don't become too comfortable with your situation. How do you overcome it? Acquire knowledge, acquire an education. All right. Education gives you confidence. Knowledge gives you confidence to take the risks. Don't take the risks without knowledge. You're going to fall very big. All right. What's your other gem that you looked at in the book that is worth of sharing with our audience?
Definitely, it's like going back to, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep and for how long. And that is
Yeah.
important, particularly to me, because one of the other gems that he drops in the book is, he says it's not how much you earn. And let me tell you a little story from the book again.
Yeah.
So Mike and what's his name, Robert, right? They are 9 years old. Mike's dad, who is rich dad, agrees to employ the boys for him to start, for Robert and Mike to start working around, helping, just doing errands for their dad, right? This is now rich dad. So they're doing errands for him, and he's paying them just enough to buy comic books, and it's not much, right? And then now, after hearing a lot of voices, is that all they're paying you for the work that you're doing? He musters up the courage. He goes to rich dad and he says, you know what, I'm quitting my job because you are exploiting me, and you're exploiting me, and I could be making more, something to that effect, right? And that's when rich dad taught them the first lesson, that the poor and the middle class work for money, while the rich make money work for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is that not good? So the poor and the middle class work for money, and the rich make money work for them. And
Yeah.
his point was, even as adults right now,
Yeah.
we get angry at
Yeah.
our employers when they don't give us
Oh,
a pay raise.
yeah.
We get angry at them because we feel like, you know what, I put in so much work in this place, and I'm just not valued like that financially, right? And there's
Yeah.
something that I love. My favorite personal development coach was Jim Rohn. May he so rest in peace. He says you are paid for the value that you bring, and work on yourself, work harder on yourself than you work on the job, right? So going back to my point about, it's not how much you earn, but it's how much you keep and for how long. So yes, you
Yeah.
are stuck in this job. So
Yeah.
yes, you're getting
Yeah.
little in this job. The question is,
Yeah.
how much value are you putting in yourself to ensure that even if you're not making more money, on the job, you can make money elsewhere. And I'll give you a very simple analogy of myself, Shadek, right? I have a
Yeah.
job. It's not bad, right? It's okay. It keeps me going, right? But I won't get upset at my employers for not giving me more money. So what have I done? What skills do I
Yeah.
have? I love to write. So I went and wrote. I don't like to be cold. So I set up an online store called Scarfville, and I sell fleeces, I sell scarves and all that, right? I was trained. What are my skills? I'm a lawyer. So I start doing jobs in human rights training because that's my specialization and immigration law. That way, I'm not frustrated with my employer because I know that I have created value within myself and I am practicing it. So it's not how much you earn, but it's more who you are and what are you investing in yourself to ensure that your value grows. And that's where the book also came in, right? So and I'll give you another simple thing, right? If I wrote an ebook and I put it at 100 kwacha, another ebook, I add more value. I read an ebook at 100 kwacha, and we're discussing this just a few days ago, you and I sell that book to 1,000 people. That would be 100,000 kwacha. 100,000, yes, 100,000 kwacha in a month. If every month I targeted, advertised, and marketed a book at 100 kwacha, I will make 100,000 kwacha outside of my job. And I won't be frustrated at my employer because I've found value within myself from my gifts, and I'm doing all that. So it's not how much you earn, but it's how much you keep. And also the point about for how long, right? So Robert also says in his book that, the rich think in terms of money, but the wealthy think in terms of time. So if you earn 1 million kwacha, right? To a wealthy person, if your expenditure in a month is 100,000 kwacha, you're only wealthy for 10 months. So the question is, how do you ensure that you build generational wealth? And that's where now the sacrifices we make, the choices we make, building businesses through setting up corporations, because it's one thing for you and me, Shadrach, to build businesses around ourselves. We're sitting here, right? We have Facebook pages. We may be contacted by people to do partnership deals with them. But what happens when you and me die? That means our pages die with us, right?
Yeah.
But if we set up corporations, if we set up companies that have systems that outlive us, that's how we build generational wealth. So money is not just about how it's, first of all, it's what value do you have? How much do you earn? What do you do with it? How much of that do you keep? And for how long do you keep that? So I thought that was deep. I loved it. I
Fantastic.
loved it.
That's
Anything else from
amazing.
your end? Yeah.
Bope, that's amazing. Those are very good points you've shared, my friend.
Yeah.
Very, very
Mm.
fantastic points. Guys, you
Yeah.
see, if you are going to be successful, guys, it depends so much on your behavior. And this is something that Robert talks about in his book. And he says, overcoming bad habits. It says
Mm.
our lives are a reflection of our habits more than our
Mm.
education. You
Oof.
can be educated and still be an educated fool. All right? Guys,
I hear
yes,
you.
I'm just adding to what Robert says. Our lives are a reflection of our habits more than our education. And I add to that, I say you can be educated and still be an educated fool. All right. So
Absolutely.
he talks about habits. If you are going to be successful, there are certain habits you have to get rid of. And the
Mm.
first thing to overcoming a bad habit is to become aware of it. You
Mm.
cannot get rid of something you don't think is affecting you. Right?
Mm.
And one of the most bad habits, I'm going to tell you two bad habits. The, the one of them is for a married person, then one of them is for a single person. For a married person, habit number one you want to avoid
Yeah.
is making decisions in isolation from your spouse. That's a very bad
Mm.
habit.
Mm.
You find it twice as hard to progress because there's another person who feels less valued because you tell it on your own. They won't give you
Mm.
the full support that they can give you if you sat together and decided to do that. So it's a very bad habit. Can you work
Mm.
with your spouse? Can you work together?
Mm.
Have what drinking habits and showing off. Do you know, guys, to show to people that you have money, it's a lot of hard work. It's a very bad habit. If you don't have money, don't show off because you're going to having a lot of work to do, losing money unnecessarily because you want to show off. Those are bad habits. Drinking too much, all right? and a lot of unnecessary relationships with members of the opposite sex. Guys, I
Mm.
cannot overemphasize how that can drown you.
Mm.
So we all have bad habits. But
Yeah.
the difference is that a successful person has got to learn from his habits and say, how can I do better? How can I improve? How can I work on this? Don't refuse when you're confronted about a bad habit. If somebody tells you you have this bad habit, if you
Yeah.
don't agree, disagree, but sit yourself down and say, you know what, is it really true that I do this thing?
Yeah.
Because sometimes bad habits are the reason why nobody wants to do business with you. Because you drink a lot.
Mm.
There's a man I really love. He's like a older brother to me. All right. I've worked with him for a very long time. He was my student. I've lectured him at a degree level and at a master's level. So 2 weeks ago, he brought a guy to me. He told
He
me,
did
please
what?
help this. He brought a guy to me. This guy
Okay.
is a lecturer somewhere at CBU. So
Mm-hmm.
this friend of mine brought this guy to me. All right, he tells me, you know what, this guy is talented. He needs help. He's educated, but he's suffering. Please help him with something. And because he knows I run an online institution for tuitions, I sort of find I'm gonna put him as a lecturer. But again, I looked at this man. All right, he looks so disorganized. All right, he was in smelling of alcohol when he came to my office, and I did not hide him. I told him, you know what, I respect this man was brought to you very much. But it's you I have a problem with. You look like you're drunk already, coming to look for a job.
Mm.
I'm dealing with people that are doing master's degrees. They are serious people. Some of them are directors. Some of them are older, are adults. And then you come like this. All right. So I could not give him a job because of not wanting to lose business because I'm working with a person who looks like he's a drunkard. So there are
Mm.
some habits. You can't go looking for a job drunk. All right. A lot
Mm.
of beards balisunga efimi emfu kashinga nishi efimi emfu ifingi ubushubweka weka balibika efimi emfu. All right, when you're going to look for a job, sacrifice your beards for once. All
It's
right,
no
it's
shave
okay.
November.
Once you get that job, you can keep your beard because you've gotten the job. They won't fire you
Yeah.
because you're beard. You understand? But you can't
Yeah.
go into a job interview. Oh, fiaflo, efimi now. So there are some habits that you must avoid if you're going to be successful. Number one, avoid working in isolation from your spouse if you are married, because that will slow down your process to progress. Tell your husband, tell your wife about your plans, ask of their
Mm.
opinion, because maybe you may think you know something better when they know it better than you, or maybe they know somebody who knows somebody. All right. So when you
Mm.
share with your spouse, you share with your husband or your wife, it also strengthens the chains of love between the two of you. So there are
Mm.
lots of bad habits that we have to get rid of to get where we need to be. You cannot be successful, guys, if you have a lot of bad habits, drinking habits, impulse buying, planning in isolation. All right, a lot of unnecessary romantic even just relationships, a lot of groupings with ladies, men. You are married, you have a group of guys who sangamutuma group at waliupa, I mean, come on now. All right. So there are some habits that you have to ignore. And I always say this, when you begin to grow, do you know why people say that you've changed? I
Mm-hmm.
have a very simple answer to that. Some people, when
Mm-hmm.
you begin to progress in life, they're going to say you've changed. There are two reasons why they say that. Number
Yep.
one is because mentally you've grown. You've
Mm-hmm.
quit certain bad habits. If you used to go in a bar to drink with your friends, you stop because now you have
Mm.
something you're looking forward to. All right. So you become busy. All right. And now
Mm-hmm.
those people who are not a part of the process for you to get where you
Mm-hmm.
need to be, they won't be getting a huge chunk of your time because they are not
Mm-hmm.
part of the process. But they
Mm-hmm.
refuse to accept that and they say you've changed. Reason number two is because they are disappointed you're no longer suffering. So the only thing they can say is that you've changed.
Yeah.
All right? To make you feel bad, as if
Mm-hmm.
success is a bad thing. They say you've changed.
Mm-hmm.
No, you can't always be found with the same people and be successful. If you
Mm-hmm.
have people that are not contributing to where you need to go, to where you need to be, it's
Mm-hmm.
okay to focus on those that will help you get where you need to be. Right? Not that you hate these other guys, but because they're not just part of the equation for now, it's okay to forget about them. When you get to the destination, you're gonna remember and call them back and say, guys, where are you? Let's catch up. All right. Because now you've been to where you want to be. So can you
Mm-hmm.
avoid bad habits? Bad
Yeah.
habits will pay. I don't know what to think around bad habits. Any habit that you may want to share that may restrict somebody's growth financially will pay.
Yeah, I mean, I can't overemphasize what you have said about the importance of getting rid of bad habits. And sometimes it's also about developing new good habits, right? And
That's
one
the
new
point.
good habit that I would encourage is the habit of reading. Like we have said tonight in the show, that Robert in his book Rich Dad Poor Dad always speaks about the importance about getting financial literacy. Do you understand the basics about your finances? Do you know how much you're earning? Do you know how much you're spending? And I mean, like, seriously tabulating, you know that this money went out this way. And where can you close the gaps where that seem porous and that where you're losing money? Another good habit is exercising. When you exercise, you have more energy, you are more creative, and networking. Go around people who you want to be like, stretch yourself, learn new skills. So while we are undoing bad habits, what helps is building new good ones. If you sleep 12 hours a day, by all means cut down to the required minimum. Can we get down to between 6 and 8 hours? If you
Yeah.
are at work, are you just scrolling through social media? How can you use that social media to earn you something? And also, don't steal company time, because that's indiscipline and it can call for, I don't know, disciplinary action. So also
Yeah.
it's about building new beneficial habits. How are you reading financial literacy books? Where do you see yourself? Are you planning? What does success mean to you? Have you defined that? Have you set steps, practical steps to get you there? How are you taking care of your body? How are you taking care of your relationships, like you have already said? So it's about building new habits as well. And a good book that I can recommend, which was one of my top three reads for 2021, is Atomic Habits. That was a really good book. And if you are struggling with building new habits like reading or waking up early or building great relationships, read Atomic Habits, because it teaches you to do small things that compound to you having bigger, bigger, better habits. It's 22:10. We should be winding up. Maybe you could help us go through a few questions before we call it a night.
Yeah, so guys, we have a lot. We have okay, we have a lot of people that are here. Lots of messages, guys. We're gonna try and shout out to in a few of you. Ruth, thank you for having you here.
Yeah.
Mundia is always nice. Mundia is always here. Mundia, I'm always happy
Shout
to see
out,
your name.
special shout out.
Yeah, we have, of course, Alfred. Thank you to see you from Chingola. We have Mimi Angel. Good evening. Watching from Mufulira. Fantastic, Mimi. It's good to see you. We have
Yes.
also,
Yep.
Kalanja. Thank you for sharing this. We appreciate, guys. Thank you for joining us this
Liza, well,
evening.
thank you so much. Yeah.
We have Frido Chilenji who says, Ansho Genesis Levis in Karaton. I think it's tagging a friend. Thank you so much for
Thank
inviting
you
those
for
who care
doing
about.
that. Yeah.
Of
Yeah,
course,
the
we
network
have.
was bad. Yeah.
We have Water Machona, Vajende Beni Benava.
Thank you,
Interesting program indeed.
Walter.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
so
my
much.
friend. All right, okay,
Have a
that's
really,
most.
mhm.
Okay, Water Machona, okay, fantastic. So, guys, we have Frido says an asset is something that brings you money, or a liability is something that takes money away from you. I think that's fantastic. That's true. Now, there's this point
Something
here
to
from
always
Water.
remember.
Water says fear is a trick thing. It can be helpful. For example,
Mhm.
if you are walking alone through a dark alley, your
Mhm.
fear can protect you by telling
Mhm.
you to keep your guard up. On the other
Mhm.
hand, fear can also be crippling. The opportunities we don't seize, the experiences we are hesitant to try out, and the stronger, better person we fail to become. That's very true,
Yeah,
all right?
that's powerful,
Avoid,
Walter. Thank you so much for sharing
avoiding
that.
risk and accepting too much fear can be the reason why you're avoiding success. I think that's fantastic, Water.
Hmm.
Machona Badala. Then we have, of course, Water says fear. Okay, this is Frido
Yeah, we just went through that.
fear. Frido says fear is the fear. But feel the fear, but do it anyway.
But do it
Yeah, that's
anyway.
fantastic. That's it. Yeah.
All
How can
about
we
that.
access that book? Okay, you can buy it from a bookstore in Lusaka, or you can download it. It's available for download
Yeah,
as
I
well.
think now there's like
Then
plenty, because it's an old book. There are plenty PDF versions on the internet as well. So you can find it.
it's
It's
getting
called
a
Rich
good way
Dad
to
Poor
tackle the
Dad.
fear.
Yeah, it's called Rich Dad Poor Dad. What the rich tell their children that the poor and middle class don't. That's the book.
Yeah. So, Wupe, over to you. Is betting a good way to tackle the fear of losing money?
No,
Seeing most people are into it.
that is what will make you even more fearful.
Betting is more
Okay.
fearful than other things because you don't have to. You have to hope that it's like it's gambling, you know. And I don't
You
think guys
know,
gambling.
yeah,
I don't think guys
gambling
gambling.
gambling feeds into the need to get rich quick. It's a lot like it's escapism. It's like drugs, right? People do drugs to try and find happiness, to escape a certain problem, right? And gambling is a lot like that. So the bigger problem that you're having is a financial problem, right? I know that
Yeah.
the person who asked the question particularly says they have seen people doing it. So this is not about them. So understand that people who are betting, there is another underlying problem there. They're having a financial situation. There are some people who go to bet as a networking thing, right? They're hanging out there because there are networks they're trying to meet of people. So that's
Yeah.
understandable. They are not addicted to that. But there are people who have made betting a way of life because they don't understand the simple principle of money, that money grows over time. And that's
Yeah.
why they say with investing, right? Compound interest is so interlocked with time. The sooner you start, the better. Right. So if a
Yeah.
25-year-old starts to invest now, in 10
Yeah.
years, that money, the money they invest will start to reinvest itself. Rather than you
Yeah.
and me who are investing a little later, we'll have to keep putting in money to sort of make up for that. Now, the principle with money is that it compounds, it grows over time. But people try to evade that principle of money and they end up losing. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
people have, like I'm saying, a takeaway about betting is when you are betting and you can't afford it, it's not a networking thing, it's not a leisure thing, it's money you can't even afford to lose. Understand that there is a deeper underlying financial concern that you're not
Hmm.
properly addressing. And it will only make your fear more because you feel like everyone is a scammer. And that's not how money is. You have to give it time.
Indeed, I think Wupe, you've answered that one very well. And I want to take this question here. This one says, so having multi partners is a hindrance to success. So there are some people who feel they are not liked by the opposite sex and resort to masturbation. Can it fall under a hindrance of success? Guys, Matthews, I want to tell you, your penis is not part of the success equation. Can you take it out of that equation? It's
I
not
think we
going to
need
work
to
like
rate
that.
this show.
All
We
right.
need to rate this show.
Yeah, so here guys, you can't be having unnecessary relationships. And because when you're involved with different sexual partners, there's this energy you get from people that just affects your way of doing things. All right, success requires a certain kind of behavior. All right, so if you are somebody who is involved into a lot of relationships, it's not a good thing, but because also you're going to have a lot of increased stress, right? There'll be more stress on your side. This one is asking for money, telling you didn't pick my call, unnecessary arguments, quarreling. So relationships, when there are too many, they affect your progress in life, right? Because you have to explain yourself to a lot of people. And I don't think we have to overemphasize. I don't know what you think, Whoopi, about too many partners. Is asking, is it true that you can fail to succeed because you have too many partners?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
Shadrach, I have the 5 pillars, right? And one of the pillars that I have when we talk on the mindpreneur is the relationships. And one of the systems, which is the relationships. And it matters the quality of relationships that you have. If you're jumping from relationship to relationship to relationship, again, it's pointing to a deeper problem. And for you to have a more holistic, fulfilling life, you want to have good quality relationships. Now, if you have, let's even say, 2 partners, right? It's more likely that one doesn't know about the other. And if you're a man, you are single, you're trying to start investing, you're going to try and please these 2 people. It means that money that could have been invested somewhere else has already been channeled to something that is useless, sorry to say, right? So you've already split your money, you've already split your time, you've already destroyed the quality of your relationships, which destroys the quality of your time. So while having multiple partners
yeah.
on the face of it seems cool in this generation, it doesn't really help you. It doesn't, I don't see how, because it takes away your time. Like you have said, it's stressful. How are you going to handle 2 women? How are you going to handle two
It's very
men?
stressful.
That's just it's a lot. It's It's really a lot.
Yeah, it's
So
very
yeah, no, it's
stressful,
not
and we can't
necessary.
even emphasize that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
and then
even the other
because
thing you
yeah,
mentioned also a very bad thing. It's actually
yeah.
sin, so just avoid.
Yeah, and they also
Yeah.
the comment said, sorry, I just need to address the comment that said sometimes the people are not liked, they're not liked by the opposite sex. It's not a problem inherent in the person, right? It's not that you're a bad person that people don't like you. You can change, you can have a more pleasing personality. People like people who are a bit more pleasing to hang around with. So the question is, how can you
Yeah.
make yourself a bit
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
marketable? You know what I mean? Are you a good listener, or do you want people to only focus on you? How do you show up in the
Yeah.
world? Do you dress decently,
Yeah.
or you already go with the perception in your mind that people don't like you? So these are definitely things that can be changed,
Yeah.
and that whole extra problem that's there can also be sorted out. But how do you show up in the world? Are you a likable person? And those are things that you can work on. And a book that I can recommend is Dale
Yeah.
Carnegie's How to Win and Influence People. Very practical, just very practical. So How to Win and Influence People. Again, you can get the PDF on the internet, and you can become a more likable person. You even learn to like yourself. If people don't like you, they are treating you the way you treat yourself as well. It means there's a chance you're not liking yourself as well. So that's some introspection for a person to do that. Yeah.
All right, Pupe, thank you so
Oh,
much for that. Guys, we
yes.
appreciate your participation. We
Quick,
are very
quick
grateful
add.
for this evening's session.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yes,
I have the book ready, Investment Simplified. If you want
yes,
to know
Pupe.
what are bonds,
What are you
what are
saying?
shares, I'm saying about the book is out. It's only 50 kwacha if you want to learn about what are investments like bonds, shares, unit trusts, and treasury bills. So if you want to know that, just contact Shadrach, inbox him, or follow my page, and we can talk about how you can get that ebook. Thank you once again.
Yeah,
I've
fantastic.
enjoyed tonight's conversation. I really did.
Yeah. So guys, buy that ebook from Pupe. It's a fantastic ebook. And if you want to know more details, you can inbox me or call me. I'll be happy to deliver it to you. And also, we are having a class for family finance and personal finance in January. So only 700
Mhm.
kwacha. You want
Register,
to enroll
register,
that one.
register.
Yeah.
Mm.
So thank you so
Plan,
very much,
plan,
guys. We
plan.
appreciate your short question. Keziah, that's a very good question. Keziah Matthews, thank you very much, my friend. It's always nice to see you. Thank you very much. Have
Always
the
good
good
to
way,
see
guys.
you.
Have
Bye.
a
Enjoy your
fantastic night,
weekend.
and let's meet on the other side. Guys, bye bye.
Yep. Bye.